What's going on, everyone? Thank you for coming to watch. So I've got an update for you guys on the tropics. So as you know, we have now Hurricane Lee on our hands. Yesterday, it was at a borderline Category 1 hurricane and tropical storm. Now it is a Category 3 hurricane. It has gone through some ridiculous rapid intensification. When I say ridiculous, I mean that it's taken this thing less than 24 hours to go from a borderline Cat 1 hurricane, or even just a tropical storm, to a Category 3 major hurricane. Okay, that's very scary because it's showing, it goes to show that we're definitely going to see a strong storm. It has the potential to become a very, very dangerously strong storm, but also it's getting to that strong point very, very quickly. Okay, we see now Lee has sustained winds at around 130 miles per hour with a central pressure of around 953 millibars. That number is going to continue to drop as it gets up to Category 4 status, which should be later today. I think by the time pretty much all of you guys watch this video, this will be Category 4 Hurricane Lee right here. It is expected to, by Saturday or Sundays, we're not clear for sure on what the time frame will be. It will become a Category 5 hurricane. Okay, this is a very, very strong storm. And behind it, we have newly formed Tropical Storm Margot. So we actually were tracking this system earlier. I mean, I wasn't really tracking it on the updates here that I'm doing for you guys, just because we're focusing in on Lee. But I did explain how Margot, or the tropical depression that formed Margot, had a chance at at taking Margot off the names list. Here it is now. It is expected to become a hurricane as it moves into the North Atlantic. Not a threat to anybody, no land at all. But yeah, Lee is definitely the story for today. And then the skeleton of Franklin's still trying its best to develop, but it's just not going to develop. Okay, so we're going to be looking at Hurricane Lee. I told you guys, like, the first day we noticed the system, when we really got the information that we were going to get a major hurricane out of this. I told you guys, like, the satellite imagery we're going to see is going to be pretty crazy. And you must be thinking, like, wow, that is a very well-defined hurricane with that eye right there. This is just a Category 3 hurricane. Wait until this is a Category 5 hurricane, and you will see what I'm talking about here. It's just going to look so dynamic. Not that it already is. But yeah, you can see that you still have it's popping off a lot of intense convection around the center of the storm here. That's your second band of those strong winds. Those winds that are just outside the eye, that eyeball right there. Those are winds that are at around 130, 135 miles per hour right now, and then those wind gusts are at about 140, 145 miles an hour. Okay, so this is a very strong storm. You've got outer bands circling around the storm. There is some slight, very, very slight wind shear. It's not really doing anything to the storm, but there is a bit of wind shear on the northern side because there is some relatively strong ridging that's keeping the storm down. But it's just in these environmental conditions that are so favorable for development that it's already this strong. But it's really crazy to see that we're going to go less than 24 hours out, going from a category, or not even just a tropical storm, to a Category 4 major hurricane, okay? But yeah, you can see on the last frame right there, you can see that eye is well defined, pretty much the most out of all these frames, and you have just a very dynamic storm out here. So it's very amazing just to see the power and fury of these storms here. But we will look at. I don't know. I think we have to look at. We have to skip ahead from this. Sorry, I never delete that tab. I always remember I have to delete it, but then I just never do it. But we're going to be looking at the cone here. So this is our current forecast from the National Hurricane Center. We are forecasting this to stay as a major hurricane up until Tuesday. Not that this is gonna drop from major hurricane status. It's just that this is the end of our current 5 day cone. Okay, we're going to see a Category 5 hurricane. If you are wondering, in this area here, this has changed a lot. Okay, this was actually supposed to be late Sunday as a Category 5 hurricane. It's been pushed back, or pushed, I guess, ahead to now 2 a.m. Saturday. So, I mean, that means that you pretty much have the potential for this thing to become a Category 5 hurricane as early as late Friday night, okay? I mean, this is not messing around here, but this is going to pass very dangerously close to the U.S. Virgin Islands out here and Puerto Rico. We really gotta just watch out for those big waves. There's going to be a very, very rough surf, big waves, and large swells. Okay, when you have a very strong and powerful hurricane just off the coast of these tiny islands, those waves are going to just be massive. Okay. But the storm is not forecasted to impact any of you guys, okay? Now we get to around 2 p.m. where things are going to get a little interesting. It is moving northwest, but there is some high pressure ridging out here. And once the storm gets to Tuesday, that ridging is going to move north, okay? And that's going to open the gates for the storm to move into the Atlantic. So it's going to try and start curving northward, and it's going to stay like that for a long time. That's when we got to talk about United States impacts, okay? But it is forecasted to pass pretty much in between the Carolina coastline and Bermuda. I am not expecting the storm to hit the Carolinas. I know, again, maybe some of you, out there are probably wondering and worried about what's going to happen with the Bahamas, Florida, Carolina coastline. I know it looks like the storm's going to hit you guys, but it's not. It's not dynamically correct. It's not dynamically set up, okay? Major hurricanes like this, the stronger the storm, they want to gain latitude, okay? So, pretty much, I mean, if the storm were a little bit weaker and there was more ridging down here by Tuesday, then there would be a threat to the southeast coastline. But it's pretty much the opposite of that. We have a very powerful storm, most likely Category 4 hurricane at this point, which is going to definitely try and gain as much latitude as possible. And that ridging is weaker and it's moving away from the system, okay? So that's just why that we're not seeing an impact on the southeast. I mean, it can definitely change, but I am pretty much 90% sure that's not going to happen. I mean, it could obviously change. Even like 95% sure. I'm just telling you guys now, you don't have to be worried. It's just not going to hit the southeast coastline, okay? But yeah, the rest is just the far future that we've just gotta watch for every single update on and information that we get on the future path of the system, okay? Um, So again, just looking at the leak here, we have this wasn't quite updated, but this is a 960, around a 960 millibar hurricane. It's probably around a 955 millibar hurricane, but this is that last image that you saw here. I mean, look how precise that eye wall is. A very nice band of circulation. You've got rain bands circulating the storm. It's just a very dynamic system. But we're just going to be moving on to our intensity guidance here. These are just all the models put up against each other for just their opinion or their forecast, I should say, on how strong the storm will get. You could see that they pretty much, the majority of them take it up to Category 5 status. But look how soon it's going to be. You could see that some take it up to Category 5, just in about 12 hours. So I think, as early as 24 hours, only 24 hours out, we could have a Category 5 hurricane on our hands. So these models are really strongly agreeing on on Lee becoming Category 5 hurricane by Friday. I think really all eyes are going to be on Friday evening, so tomorrow evening, around dinner time, Eastern time, I think that's when you're going to start hearing about the storm, at least nearing Category 5 status, but I would say getting up to Category 5 status, okay? You might also be wondering, well, if it's going to move close to the United States at least, we got to figure out, how strong will it be when it gets to that point? Well, I mean, look at the models here. You don't see any taking it down to tropical storm status. So it's not going, if it makes landfall, it's most likely not going to be a tropical storm, okay? So if it were to make a landfall, it would be a hurricane, okay? Um, but the models are consistent on keeping this in a Category 4 status. Some of these members out here hang it down to Category 3. Only a few bring it down to Category 2. I think we're going to be in between these three categories here. If for when the storm gets to that point where it has the potential to make landfall. But yeah, you can see that, I mean, really it'd be around this point here, around 144, 156 hours out. Yeah, you can see the majority of them keep it in Category 4 status. Some take it down to Category 3, and then a few in Category 2. But, it's just pretty, it's too early to tell for the storm being this far out. So, going to be comparing the models, the two models we've been looking at for the past few days. Once again, here looking at the GFS 12Z and the European 12Z. There is still some disagreement on the ending of the system. I'm not going to stop, comparing and contrasting models until we get a firm agreement on where the storm will go. Just because we just want to make sure that we're paying attention to every single signal we get for a possible direction of the system. Okay. But the GFS, I'm really trusting the GFS so far, okay? Especially for the beginning of the system. It properly develops it the way we were seeing and the way it's forecasted. We're getting into, this is about 8, you're waking up 8 a.m. Saturday to 9:51 millibar hurricane. I think that the GFS is slightly under strengthening this system, okay? But then it drops right back down to 946. Okay, this would be a Category 5 hurricane right here. Okay, this is around 8 p.m. Sunday. Okay, so the GFS 12Z wants the storm to become a Category 5 hurricane a little bit later. I am totally fine with that, just because there also is, like I said earlier, still some very, very slight, disagreement and question on when the storm will exactly be a Category 5 hurricane. But for now, we're just saying that pretty much around Sunday that's when we're expecting the storm to be a Category 5 hurricane. But it will certainly be a Category 5 hurricane up until probably, I mean, we get to, let's see, we're in Tuesday, and we still have a Category 5 hurricane most likely. It's back and forth until right about here. So we could have a Category 5 hurricane for pretty much, half a week to almost a week, an entire week. So I'm telling you guys, this is going to be a strong system that's going to be feeding on all this moisture and this warm waters in the Atlantic. Okay, but the storm, you can see it's got its eyes set on the Bahamas. So I don't want to say that to scare you guys. It's not going to hit the Bahamas, okay? It's going to start curving out at the last second, okay? Um, but I mean, the reason why I'm saying this, right now, because it is 120 hours out, okay? But all the models have been consistently agreeing on the storm moving away from the Bahamas somewhere around Wednesday, so midweek next week, okay? So it is not going to hit the Bahamas. It's probably not going. It's pretty much most likely not going to hit the southeast coastline. All right, we see what the GFS does with it. It starts taking that turn farther west, but look at this. Our trough is here to save us. It's pretty much at that point where it's perfectly timed. It catches the storm and pulls it out to sea along with it. Okay. And one thing you should also watch out for is out here in Newfoundland. Okay, this is going to be a question that we're gonna have to talk about, but I think it's greatly it's not heard of enough that we need it to be heard of, because if this storm ends up making a landfall not in the United States, the northeast coastline, but in Newfoundland, people have to be ready for this system, because it's still going to be around a category 2, category 3 hurricane, looking like, just based off of the latest model runs. Okay, and they have been consistently saying that we will get a landfall, or at least get a just a little bit of a scrape here across the southeastern coastline um, of Newfoundland. So we really gotta watch out for these dangerous impacts. So you can't give up, or I don't want to say give up, but you can't stop tracking the system after, if you find out that it's certainly not going to hit the northeast coastline, because there are still a lot of pieces of land out here in Canadian territory that could certainly, that are right now at a very high chance of getting hit. Okay, so we just gotta watch out for that. But that's gonna be it for the GFS. Okay, it's very far out again. You can see that if it were to make landfall, it'd be around Saturday, 2 weeks out, around 222 hours out. So it's a very far and a long way away, but there is definitely a chance that we could get some sort of threat to land, especially out here in the Newfoundland region. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at the European 12Z run. Okay, this is a run that most likely will change, but is concerning towards U.S. impacts. Okay, so let's buckle up here. So we see here we're getting into Friday. This is pretty much 2 p.m. Friday. We have a 953 millibar category 4 or category 5 most likely hurricane. Okay, so so far the European model has actually been pretty good with the strengthening. Uh, Wait, 1 second. Oh no, excuse me. This is a 983 millibar hurricane. Okay, so This is definitely not right about the strength of the system. We're pretty much past this point now. Okay, and it's saying that the Euro is saying that midday Friday we're gonna have a category 1, category 2 hurricane, which we already passed. So far, I'm really not liking what the Euro's saying. Okay, but then it finally starts to get this system going to the point where we are expecting it to, you know, as late as Monday. Okay, so we're getting to Monday where this thing should be a Category 5 hurricane, and it's saying that we got a Category 3 hurricane. Okay, so it's definitely under strengthening the system. And we watch this number. We don't get under 955 millibars, which we pretty much have right now. Okay, so the European model is certainly it's hugely under strengthening the system by a long shot. Okay, but it takes that same turn that the GFS wants it to. This is pretty much lining up the same. Pretty much. Other than the strengthening, the location of the system, the GFS and the European have started to line up a little bit. Okay, so we're starting to get a little bit of an idea of where the system's going, but we're not done with the model run. Okay, so clearly that trough beats the storm there, so it's at this point pretty much likely that it'll just drop in, pick up the storm, and then go out to sea. But the storm is still a very strong hurricane. This is probably a Category 3, maybe Category 2 hurricane, but notice how it's very close to the United States, and it's pretty late to get picked up by this trough. It's on the bottom of the trough, the very bottom, like just I guess rain band of the trough. So it's going to be heavy for the trough to pick up at this point. So if the trough is a lot weaker and it swings by faster, that could definitely be a scenario that would pose a threat to the United States. And so here we go. We get pretty much a direct landfall on the Massachusetts coastline, somewhere in southern New England. Um, Pretty much again 2 weeks out. So Saturday of 2 weeks out. All right. And then the storm also moves into Maine. It chugs right through. I mean, this is a direct impact on Maine. I mean, this is going to change. This is not right. Okay. This is definitely going to change, but this is a signal that the storm could impact these areas. But according to the 12Z European model, storm makes landfall on the southern New England coast, and then moves through Maine as a Category 2, most likely hurricane, and then that moves out. Okay, so we've just compared the two models. So one thing that's certainly different is the strengthening of the system. The GFS pretty much spot on with the strengthening. Okay, the European model, well, pretty much in a different world with the strengthening. It is really hugely under strengthening the system, which it's. I mean, the Euro has done that in the past with tropical systems, but with Lee, I mean, I haven't seen the storm. I haven't seen the Euro really under strengthen the system at all because. At one point we saw the Euro showing a 917 millibar full on Category 5 hurricane. Now it's saying that we might not even get a Category 5 hurricane at all, and we're pretty much at that point now, or I guess tomorrow. So the European model is definitely trying still to get its act together, and so that may tell us that this information could be way off, and then maybe that would tell us that we would get the storm going out to sea because that would be the opposite of what we see here. So, I mean, there's many. I'm telling you, there are many different scenarios and just tracks that the storm could take because it's so far out. But these are just multiple signals that the European is showing as it tries to get its act together on where this thing is going. Okay. Um, but we're going to be looking at why and where the storm is going to be going, just because the GFS so far has been the most reliable, and also the GFS really has been showing me the most certainty of where the storm will go. It's been very consistent, so it's making up its mind earlier, which it's a good sign. So if you want to look at the both models yourself, I would really go with the GFS, just because it's going by the forecast a lot more than the European model is. Okay, but you can see the ridging. It's right here on top of the system. It's weak ridging. It's not very strong. There is some ridging in front of the system that's slowing it down. There also there are dueling high pressures, right? I guess high pressure systems you could call them. One that's localized right over Cuba, okay, that's trying to push the storm north, and then the stronger one is up here in the central Atlantic that's keeping the storm farther south, okay? So the storm is going to be slowing down as it squeezes in between them, and that's what's keeping it from going out to sea or possibly impacting Cuba and Florida, okay? And so that's why we're going to see the storm not only gain latitude but also start curving this way, because that's just where the rest of the space is. It's too late for the storm to go out to sea at this point. But here, you can see that the doors are open for the storm to move into to go out to sea, but it's starting to gain latitude, okay? Here's a trough that's coming down. It's fairly strong. I would say it's pretty much it's pretty much moderately strong here. And it lines up pretty much perfectly with the system, okay? But if the system beats it there by a little bit, you can see here there is a small gap between the ridge and the trough out here in the United States. So that means that the trough could pull this thing in earlier, too early, bringing it into the coastline. That is a possibility. So if Lee is strong enough to move faster and move very fast, if Lee moves faster, then that would certainly also raise concerns on the Northeast getting hit, okay? But so far, Lee is forecast to move very slowly, which will definitely help bring down the chances of the United States getting hit. Okay, and that's pretty much what we're seeing here on the 12Z GFS. And so then we see the storm move into, will pretty much scrape across the Newfoundland coastline, and then it just gets taken up by that trough. All right. So those are pretty much. I've gone through just comparing the models and then looking at the GFS here for our just the direction and location of the system. I've pretty much shown you pretty much all the scenarios for if the storm could impact land or if the storm would go out to sea. All right, I want to take a look at one more thing here. These are the steering currents here. Okay, so we're going to be looking at just basically the upper level winds that are about I guess this is around 45,000 feet in the air. Okay, so these are upper level winds that are steering those high cloud tops. Hurricanes and tropical cyclones, they have high cloud tops. So when those cloud tops meet up with those upper level winds, that's what pushes these storms along. Okay, so looking in here at Lee, so these currents you see here rotating widely around the system. This is a big anticyclonic flow here. All right, and this is moving in a clockwise direction. Okay, tropical systems they move in a counterclockwise direction. All right, this is going to serve as a pretty much a wall for Lee. Okay, so it's going to be protecting Lee. They pretty much generate strong tropical cyclones. They pretty much generate anticyclonic flows themselves. Okay, but it's a very big one here. You can see I mean, it's a very massive area here. It's going all the way back towards where Margot will be, but it's pretty much right into here. Okay, and that's just surrounding all of Lee. So that's also a huge reason why we're not seeing Lee be affected pretty much at all by these dueling high pressure ridges out here. But the storm, it continues moving closer and closer to the southwest Atlantic. Another reason why we're not going to see impacts towards the southeastern Florida is because we have our upper level jet, or I wouldn't say jet, but upper level currents here that's moving through into the Gulf and then pushing out towards the North Atlantic. Okay, that's going to also bring the system northward. Okay, at this point, when you get the storm lined up with Florida, it's pointing right against the system, trying to move it away from Florida. Okay, that's how you guys in the southeast are going to be spared from the system. Okay, but it's now got caught in this upper level current here that's pushing northward. Okay, and you get a very strong kind of curve here. I don't know what you would call it in weather terms here, meteorology terms. Um, it'll certainly be strong enough here. You can see it's this red, these deep colors of red. These are winds that are over 100 miles an hour in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So if there's a possibility that if Lee gets caught up in these winds, it will definitely have a shot at moving into the United States. You know why? Because look how strong these winds are. They're just flying right into and uppercutting the southern New England coastline. Okay, if Lee gets caught up in those streams and those wind streams here, we could definitely have another possibility of a landfall, but that's going to be associated with that trough. Okay, that's going to be the initial front of that trough here. Okay, so we can actually go into the northeast, zoom in here a little bit, and so we'll go back to where our trough is right here. Here it is right here where that L is. Okay, and these winds, these upper level winds, they really get going fast. All right, and so let me zoom out here. Actually, I didn't realize here that we actually would have a better look at things if we zoomed out a little bit more. So let me go back to the eastern U.S. here just to show where everything's going on. All right, but going back to where Lee will be. So pretty much at this point, it's so Lee's at this point is coming up right here. Okay, and so it's moving north, and it gets caught up by these winds here in the upper levels of the atmosphere. I don't know what happened. I think we might have switched. Uh, we might have switched somewhere. I don't know what happened here, but anyways, we're definitely going to have some very strong winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere moving northward into southern New England. But Lee should be spaced out enough that it won't get caught in those winds, and it will get caught in those winds for sure. All right, but not directly, because those winds are associated with that trough. Okay, and so the Lee will get picked up by that trough, so it will get picked up by those winds. But the timing is key because the Lee will get picked up a little bit later, okay, and that's going to put it out to sea. Okay, that's why we're not seeing a United States landfall. Okay, and then behind it you have the even stronger upper level winds, just going right out to sea. But these winds again, I mean they're over 100 miles an hour, so they're not gonna uh, they're not going to keep anything they're not going to push anything into the United States. That's one thing for sure. And then we also do have some ridging out here that's fairly strong, localized right here in the mid-Atlantic region. That's going to be a brick wall for tropical systems. So no tropical cyclone is going to be entering the United States in the days after Lee scoots out. All right, but I'm going to be looking at now for the final part of the update, just these are the European ensembles. We're going to be looking at this again. And so you can see that most of these tracks show the storm curving out a lot sooner, or a lot quicker than the GFS is showing. Okay, so it's showing the storm kind of taking a track like this, and then it goes straight up north. Okay, I really don't understand clearly what is going on here, what the European ensembles are showing here, because it's not quite showing the storm get picked up by the trough. It's just going straight north. You see here at this point where the storm would get picked up by that trough, you don't see it start moving this way. It's just still moving straight up north. Okay. So that's definitely a question of why that's happening. But some other tracks here take it closer to the northeast coast. Some take it into the Massachusetts coastline and then into Maine. Then there's one, or actually I guess there's two out here that take a major hurricane into Long Island and southern New England. Okay, so I mean the European again has been shifting back and forth between the idea of the storm, going into the United States, going close to the United States, and just going out to sea. So it's very questionable on where the storm will be going. That is pretty much the main question, because we figured out that it's not going to hit the southeast, not going to hit any land out here near the Caribbean. Okay, so really, right now, all eyes are on Lee and the northeast and mid-Atlantic coastline. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for coming to watch. Just got to keep on watching Lee. This is going to probably be a topic for about 2 weeks. Again, we saw the potential time zone of a potential impact to Newfoundland or the United States could be as far out as Saturday of 2 weeks out. Okay, so that's more, a little bit over 2 weeks out. So it's a very long time, and it's going to pretty much take us all the way out to towards the end of September. So it's going to be pretty much a month long, around a month long topic. Well, actually, it wouldn't be. I guess it wouldn't be out to the end of September. It'd be out to mid-September. But anyways, we just gotta continue watching the system, continue watching these updates. I'll keep you guys updated pretty much day by day. My schedule's flattening out a little bit as school gets started. Not many activities at the moment, so I should have enough time to do daily updates on Lee. So just keep on tuning in for new information, and I'll see you guys in the next video.